Welcome to Drilling Insight. I'm host Jeremy Verdusco, editor of The Driller magazine. This is the first part of a wide-ranging Toolbox talk about safety gear, recorded live from Groundwater Week 2020. Co-host Brock Yordy and I were joined in the virtual trade show booth by safety expert and drilling instructor Dave Bowers. The first part of our discussion focuses on eye protection, like safety goggles, impact-resistant eyeglasses, and face shields, as well as hand protection. Tune in for the second part of the discussion, publishing in early January, to hear about ear protection and the importance of protecting your crews in order to attract quality recruits. We have a lot of good advice for the audience, so let's get right to it.
What are the kinds of things that you wish you knew 10 years ago? Like, oh gosh, I wish someone would have told me that, those kinds of things that make your life easier when you're trying to execute.
So let's hit on the safety, what you just asked Jeremy about, safety gear on a job site, and I think there's a couple levels to this, because there's the family business level, and then there's the bigger business that is a LLC or is more than just a family business. And then there's a, big company. And the family business, it's still the Wild West. Even when I think of my father's drill company, we got into hard hats, and, it's like the core is hard hats, safety glasses, steel-toed boots, good gloves, and hearing protection. And it was like, if you had 50% of it on, you were good. Like, hard hat generally got put on. Gloves were usually grabbed. Steel-toed boots were on. But then it was like glasses and hearing protection were, third rate. And Dave talked, Dave and I were talking one time, and Dave, you talked about struck by, right? We were talking about, and what did you say is the most common struck by?
The most common injury in construction in general and work in general is an eye injury, right? And a massive number, and off the top of my head, unfortunately, I can't remember what the number is, but a huge number of people are not dismembered, but they have a disability afterwards from an eye injury. I had an eye injury at one time when it seemed like a little thing. Everybody thinks about, something going into your eye and this, that. But what it could be as simple is I had a flake of steel from a Kelly bar on my eyelash that I rubbed my eye, and then I wound up with it stuck in my eye and had to go. I was out of town. I had to go to the hospital and have them take it out with a burring tool. To where one of the weirdest things that you'll ever deal with is, watching that thing that you can't close your eye come at your eye to burr that stuff out. And at the time, they've got you numb. But when you get back to the hotel room, in my case, it's tremendously painful. And it could have been a lot worse. It was only, it was superficial, but it could have been a lot worse. I could have lost my sight. And I wear safety glasses. I have them on now. I wear safety glasses all the time. But there are times where maybe safety glasses aren't just what you need. We do a lot of cleaning of equipment, right? If I have my safety glasses on, I still wind up getting possible spray back, simple things. How hard would it be to grab a shield to put on while you're steam cleaning? Stuff like that. And talking about just basic PPE, I think the most life-changing thing for a driller and for me in my career, when I finally stumbled upon the gloves that I still use today. Because, gloves for a driller, especially a geotech driller who's doing a lot of handling manually of tooling, gloves, he needs them desperately. And it's one of the things I say constantly. I wrote about it. One of the things I constantly say to Derek Good, when we're working together, and now he'll tease me if he sees me with I don't have my gloves on. If you touch something and I see you don't have, wear your gloves, right? Because you got to have gloves. It's something. But when I found a good pair of gloves, and I'm not here to advertise the particular pair, but I found one. I wear a coated glove all the time because I'm always in some sort of fluid. Mm-hmm. When I found one that lasted for more than a week, it was an epiphany, right? And the pair that I had come up with would sometimes last 3 and 4 weeks. Well, at the time, when the company is buying the gloves, which they're supposed to supply, and now they're a little bit more money, but now they're lasting that much more. It's easier to get guys to buy in to wearing them. It's easier to get the companies to buy in to buying them because they're actually being used and they're not turning over so fast.
It's a better value. So I want to circle back real quick and just wrap up the optical part of the discussion, and then we can continue with gloves. So the solution is basically just the full wraparound. Now, what is that accurate?
Well, yeah.
When you want to be real safe, when you have materials like you're mixing mud, what are you wearing? What do you recommend?
What I want to have if I'm mixing mud, I'm probably good with safety glasses or goggles. But if I'm doing anything with pressure, right, where we're steam cleaning the drill at the end of the day, or the end of the job, whatever we're trying before we go down the road, cleaning equipment. Now I want something, goggles or a shield over my safety goggles, because now I'm looking for something to stop impact as well as just block my eyes, right? And safety glasses are rated for some impact, but double protection is always going to be a better.
And there's two beautiful points you've made there, Dave. One about having a shield. Sometimes mixing mud, if we're on a high-end system, we have a jet. We have that jet wand that we can clean out. So we do need a shield because when we plug the hopper, they get in there and they start jetting on it, and that stuff's flying everywhere. ANSI certified safety glasses. Yes. if you're gonna be wearing Oakley's, you better have gotten the lenses that are ANSI certified and not just think I can get away with, I want to look cool on the job site and I'm gonna wear sunglasses versus safety glasses, because that's a big aspect of our industry. And I have a pair of Oakley's that have impact resistant lenses to them. And what do you got, Jeremy?
Yeah. Oh, I was going to ask. I bet I'm not alone among the audience here who is of a certain age, and I can't work up close like I used to, because what's the best protective option for someone that has bifocals or trifocals, or has assistance or correctives that isn't just standard nearsighted?
Well, I've noticed here recently, think about how difficult glasses have just become. Mm-hmm. Glasses of any type have just become the most difficult, most frustrating thing that we deal with, because we have to now incorporate masks. We incorporate masks in everything. And I found now, you asked about life hacks. I have one. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to show you my life hack. All right? It is the simplest life hack that you could ever have. For my N95 with my glasses, this is my life hack. Sports tape.
Okay.
I put my N95 on, I take sports tape, and I run it along here, and I put my glasses on, and no longer, my glasses, no matter what the weather, my glasses don't fog up because nothing is coming out the top, right?
Nice.
It's the most ridiculous thing that I ever came up with that I stuck with. People, like, when they're like, is that tape on your mask? I'm like, yes. And then when they realize what it's for, hey, can I have some? right? Unless, of course, some people, maybe they're hairy up on their nose. I don't know how that happens, but they don't want to pull it off because it's going to hurt. But that's only going to happen once, because the next time you put tape on, the hair will be gone, so it'll be all right. But no, all in all, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I called you. We were rapping back and forth about articles coming up, and you had asked for some feedback, and you were waiting to go look, because your glasses, because you're in the field, your glasses have to be impact resistant and they're prescription. And tell us about the situation it was to get new frames and glasses during COVID.
Well, I wear safety glasses every day, and they are trifocals or progressives, right, where they're different from all the way down. And I went to the first place to order my new glasses, and they couldn't do it. So they sent me to a different place. I went to that place, and I show up to pick up my glasses. Took a week. Now I'm wearing broken safety glasses. The nose piece is broke. I've been wearing them because it took a month to get the appointment right now because of COVID, right, to get in to see somebody. So I go in to see somebody. They take it. I find the glasses. I order 2 pair, a regular pair and a pair of safety glasses. They come in. I go to fit, put my regular pair of glasses on. Okay, good, I can see. I put the safety glasses on. I can't see a thing. The lab missed a number when they read the prescription. I'm like, well, this won't work. So they said, oh, we'll expedite it. We'll have it redone. It'll be here. So expediting, apparently, it's not what I thought it used to mean. I thought it would go faster. 3 weeks to get this new pair of glasses after they were expedited, when the first time it only took a week. But it took 3 weeks for them to come in and be right. COVID, and we always keep wanting to circle back to this, but it's affected so many things. It used to be I would have walked into a Four Eyes, a LensCraft, or whoever's doing the thing, after I had my prescription from my optometrist, throw it down. Okay, well, and you have your glasses within a day or two, and you're off to the races, and it just doesn't work that way. And but you really have to think about how it affects every little thing. I have rolls and rolls of this now at home, this tape, because one day when it finally dipped down cold enough, and I was out running a Caisson class, and I could not keep my glasses from fogging. Right? So how am I supposed to be safe when I can't see? And I'm directing someone who might not be experienced on the rig or on the loader that's bringing the tool that, I have to use hand signals, direct both to put the tools together so that nothing gets dropped, the rig doesn't get damaged, no one gets hurt, and I can't see a thing. So that necessitated my life hack. But, there's always something.
Well, and before we jump on the gloves, which is, I think, very important, the final piece of safety gear that a small company up through a big company should have in regards to struck by is eye wash stations or eye wash bottles, because that's something that we don't think about. We don't have. If we did, it falls behind the seat of the service truck. It's not readily available. It's not readily available when we need it for the situation we need. And Dave's group, getting into the big city and, the safety people coming out, they look for it. Where's the hand wash station? Yep. Where's the eye wash station? And how close is it to the task we got going on? Whereas on a drill rig, it could be in the service truck across it's not in a place that's going to be effective for a person that gets.
And I can't just irrigate an eye with an Aquafina bottle.
Well, if that's all you have,
Hold
then
still.
by all means, go ahead and do it. But here's the thing, even about those emergency eye washes, that is only designed to get you to a real water source.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to get that, because almost anything is going to tell you 15 to 20 minutes of flushing. There's no way you're going to get that with that little bottle, right? So, if that's all you've got, do whatever you've got to do, but you really need to be moving to some sort of dedicated running water, if not eye wash structure.
Yeah. So let's double back to gloves here. Now, the kind of protection you're looking at for your hands, it really depends on the type of drilling you're doing, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know there's quite a few people that like to have the gloves that have the hard plastic wear items in them. It's not something that I ever really like, because I don't like the grip with those as much. But depending on what you're doing, if it's hot work, you better not have a pair that's nitrile or coated in some way, rubber coated, because it's going to melt. So everything is job specific, and it may be that you need to have a couple pair of gloves, or you might need to have. I wear liners underneath my rubber gloves in the winter, because they're non-insulated, and you don't want to get So everything just requires a little bit of forethought before you get to the job, to make sure you have the right stuff. I used to carry a bag. Go
ahead. So what are the inputs I use to make that decision? Like, as I'm looking at a job, plainly, I'm going to make a different choice if I'm doing a water well versus HDD or whatever. How am I making that decision, and what are the inputs there?
There's multiple impacts, and we think about what PPE is supposed to be the last line of defense that we have from getting injured. Instead of it being the first, it's good processes, good choices, but it comes down to do I require a glove that's impact resistant and cut resistant? Do I need a glove that is going to be chemical resistant or burn resistant? Those types of situations, because the gloves I use on the drill rig that I can grip drill rod and I can let the cable run through my hand, that's going to be cut resistant. That type of situation works fine for my drilling phase. But now if I'm going to go into where I'm mixing some sort of rehab chemical, or I'm doing something else, and I can get into, a chemical burn, or, again, we get to the point where we're done drilling and now we're going into hot work where we're going to be welding. I need a glove. So I got to work with GE Oil and Gas one time when I was with Bayreuth Halliburton, and the GE Oil and Gas guy had a duffel bag. And I've told this story before, but it was like, I was playing junior varsity and they were a professional athlete when he walked out with his bag that had 10 different gloves in it for every task. And they had issued all of their people in the field a bag of gloves that had 2 sets. Because let's face it, we're going into the end of the year and it's wet and it's muddy, and there's going to be a time where you're going to need to take a set of gloves and put them, under the dash to dry out. And so GE had their safety guys had that forethought to not only issue one good set of gloves to their people, but an adequate set so that they could continue to maintain the work they needed to maintain. What did I miss, Dave?
Well, I want to just expound on what you said a little bit, right? GE, great. It's great that they did that, but you don't have to be GE to create a tactical bag for what you need to do. I was about to say to Jeremy that I carried a tactical bag with all of my gear for that time of year in it. So whether it be card-hards and different sets of gloves, whether leather and impermeable, those things with it, but you did make a great point, and I'd like to say it a little different way. If I'm giving you PPE, it means I cannot protect you any other way.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
I've already looked at everything I can do. I can't keep you from the hazard. I can only give you something that gives you a reasonable amount of protection from the hazard. So, that's why it's so important. A good safety plan, you've looked at everything you could do, and we've come up with the only thing I can do is give that employee or that worker something to wear or use to help them stay safe.
There is one more piece to that, and the last that you can't avoid that, but we could do a better job of designating danger zones, right? With the oil field, when we look at what they do, they paint those areas in yellow. There's pinch points. This is where you can be struck by. This is where you can be caught in between. And we get on, I look at every rig in the background that you have there, and they're all rigs that are working that are OSHA compliant. But we don't designate the danger zones and the situational awareness. When we talk about somebody losing a finger or crushing a finger, they were physically there, they weren't mentally there, and somebody else didn't have the wherewithal to say, you're in the danger zone, you're in the paint, get out, 3-second rule, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and really, you made a great point, Dave, on the, I can't prevent you from working on this risk, so I'm providing risk mitigation measures. It's, important to remember that, gloves are going to protect your hand. It's not, it's a line of defense. The smartest line of defense is to not be in that paint.
Right. I mean, it comes back to the hierarchy of control, right? Look at what Europe and Canada, look at their rigs and the way that they're built compared to what we're selling in the U.S. Those drillers still get things done. Even though they have all the barriers and all the stuff to be compliant, they still get stuff done. In some ways, we've been lucky. In other ways, we've been unlucky. We've been lucky that we haven't had to learn to work with that, but we're unlucky that, basically we're telling our people that, what, you're not that important to us. We're not going to put a barrier up to protect you.
Yeah, the cages, you look at on the trade show floor with what Eagle Camp has for a cage on their stuff, mobile drills, emergency stops around the equipment. And then you look at a standard water well rig and you look and you're like, where's the tribe has spoken and they don't need that stuff yet, is what it's really come down to. It's very reminiscent of masks, right now with us ending this year out of, do you need it or do you not need it?
It comes back for me. Yeah. I always look at, I would love to take somebody who works in the field and doesn't think that you need that and put them where Brock and I have been, where you're training people who may not yet be as familiar as they could be with equipment. I think for my first year drillers and my pre-apprentices, the phrase I say the most often is, don't put your hand there. Hey, move back. Hey, don't stand there, right? Saying that stuff all the time. And you don't realize until you're put in that position with a bunch of new people just how much there is. I don't think these people realize just how many bad spots there is. I complained one time to another gentleman that works here that I'm like, I'm stressed. He's like, why? I'm like, because I'm working with the most dangerous piece of equipment here. And I had, at that time, 3 machines running and, 8 or 10 students. And, after 8 hours of that, you're spent trying to keep everybody safe, yet still teach them something.